Hey dear, if you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, I'm not just good enough, or you found yourself shrinking back instead of stepping up, today's episode is for you. And on today's episode, we are diving deep into low self-esteem, what it is, where it comes from, and most importantly, how to start believing in yourself. I'm still your able host, Vidora, and I have with me Mr. X, as always. And we are going to dissect low self-esteem. You know, that nagging voice that tells you you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not worthy enough. It can be really crippling, especially as a young adult, trying to find your way in the world. But the truth is, there is a way out, and we're going to talk about how your childhood experiences, especially those with our parents, can shape our self-image. And we'll also be sharing tips on how to build your confidence and give you that life that you deserve. So let's dive in.
What's the reason? First of all, there's the presence of low self-esteem. There's a kind of low self-esteem that you have to be trained clinically to be able to know that it's there. It's like when you say somebody like Abacha had low self-esteem, somebody will tell, how Abacha? For what? Was a strong man. It was this, it was that. But I say the way he stole money, the voracity at which he stole the money, the direct intentionality of the way he went about stealing money was him trying to make up for something.
Something he deserves.
And what was he trying to make up? He was trying to compete with Marina. That's what made him steal like that. So that level of stealing was driven by low self-esteem.
So that's to say that a lot of the things that we do as human beings sometimes actually comes from a place of low self-esteem. And then we think that, we are
dreaming or no. It's not. But look at something like narcissism. A beautiful work of creation. Please tell me why she needs to go and do this. Because she felt she was not enough. That's the reason. She felt she was not enough. Let me tell you something. When I was in Ohio State, I was attacked over and over again because of my nose.
Because of your nose?
Yes. They said at the time that I had a big nose. But I don't know. But they said that I had a big nose. So there was no, I never owned that. What's his name? I remember he had a Calabar name. He was the one that used to pick on me very seriously. I remember his name. He used to pick on me seriously. He said, boy, big nose. Understand? No matter what.
You turned it into a song.
Then Donald was one great song. I remember his name. Calabar guy. I'm trying to do something next time. The boy with big nose. Fuck. You understand? And then he called other people's attention to this news that he knows.
Exactly.
So other people say, big news. You understand? And the guy, I couldn't fight him. He looked like he was called that. You understand? So I remained in that debasing, issue. And the thing started eating up my self-esteem. So I started becoming conscious of the news. Even though I couldn't see how the news was one issue. Because when I look at myself in my parents' school pictures, I was like, beautiful. I was like, it's in school, I was like a magic. Like if you see me in the forest, you're supposed to. It's true now. See how I look like an umbrella. Like a young
secondary school.
In secondary school. But if you see me in primary school, I was well kept. So you see me in my Red Cross uniform. So I don't know where he saw the news. You understand? I look at myself in primary school. I didn't come. Even in secondary school, I see this in the news. But besides name. something that's Calaban and the name is really that's a boy with big hormones, the boy with big hormones, the boy with big hormones. They decided to take the life of his school. People started looking at me like I had a big nose. You understand? And since I eating at my self-esteem. So over the years, as I grew older, I got into early teenage, mid-teenage years, I'll be telling people that once I get money, the first now be
to adjust your
surgery to adjust my nose. You understand? It was a lifetime ambition. And then I kept following up on it. I saw what happened with Michael Jackson. But later I discovered that the surgery technologies they entirely the next I couldn't do my eyes. I went to toilets where and I had to go to toilet where I would wait for people who are waiting to leave. The place was a mess. People were doing all sorts of shot puts and amputing and disputing. You understand? It was ridiculous. All of us were sick for a very long time, for over 2 years, until we had to adapt. The sanitation work. But when you're living in the Yoruba, the downroad, the level of people is something that needs to be studied. They are dirty. So we were poor. But my parents never allowed us to see poverty. So ordinarily, when we mix up with other children, if the inferiority complex is supposed to be,
exactly.
It's a natural thing.
Yeah.
It's not something that is out of your land. It's a natural thing. You live in a two-room, face me, face you apart. I remember then I didn't even want Steven to visit. And if you ask Steven, do you know that as close as me and Steven is, I never visited him. Up till now, Steven talks about it up till now. Even when we finish secondary school, say, come, I have a whole duplex to myself in Aba. Let's go to Aba. Then, when DSTV was like having a satellite phone, he had DSTV. I did not go. What made me not to do those things? Because if I go to him,
he won't
naturally he will come to me. You understand? So it took a long time for me to agree that Stephen could visit me. And when he visited me, I didn't see any judgment in his eyes.
That's a true friend.
You understand? He was more pressed about the friendship than this cave you are coming out from.
Exactly.
Fuck, man. This is where you live.
It was like issue.
So I was conscious of it, but it did not affect my confidence. Because those are two completely different things. I was conscious of the poverty, but it did not affect my state of mind, did not affect my self-esteem. So when we mix up with people who are richer, they expect the low self-esteem feedback.
Yeah.
They don't get it. At first they are confused, and then they adapt. And then they come to our house and sit down like nothing is going on. You know, they are happy. You know, so because we sold to them that we are not poor, they bought into the fact that we are not poor. Yes, people may be living here because of one thing or the other.
Yeah.
But we're there for more than 20 years.
Whoa.
Yeah. All the people we made friends with, they were all richer than us. They lived in massive duplexes, mighty 3-bedroom apartments. We lived in a 2-room apartment.
Face me, I slack you.
My neighbor will come out in the morning, tying a towel that looked like it's a towel that Abraham left behind for him. You know, when you come out in the morning, that's when you see. If you are coming to greet me, that's the first person you see. You know that, yeah.
You live in the snow.
So I know how people will come, they look at me. They give me that look. And then I'm still looking back at them like, what? Then they kill it. So all they need is to feed into your low self-esteem. And when it's not available, they feed into your confidence.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So the issue of low self-esteem begins from your parents. My parents shielded us from that poverty. They made us not to see the poverty. They made us not to feel the poverty. They gave us our confidence. We still went to great schools, competing with people that had money. I remember then my brother was going to school, that school bus would come and pick him up. Costa, brand new buses come and pick him up. He would be like, this guy, fuck. Don't go to the same level. So even people were living inside giving us respect. We went to private schools. Went to private secondary schools. It was we're supposed to do the same level now. We're supposed to go public school, we don't get roof. Where they make noise from morning to night. Where the uniforms are bad. You know, all those kind of stuff. So even the people we lived with started knowing that, oh, these people don't belong here. So the question is, what are they doing here? Who are they running from? What are they running from? Who are they? These questions were there. So the most important period in a child's life is that 0 to 8 years. That is what makes up their personality. It's what makes up their personality. So when you see me, no matter how much you beat me, no matter how much you browbeat me, no matter how much you try to pound my personality, or pound me emotionally, or pound me psychologically, you cannot kill my spirit. Because the spirit is made in gold, solid, foundation. So touching me is the foundation. So once that foundation is solid, it's like when you miss out speaking the right English as a child, you struggle for the rest of your life. You can never know it all. You know?
Childhood is a cradle.
Exactly. So that is the most important, and that's probably the only thing I learned from my parents. You understand? They were able to shield the poverty from us.
Well, it just made me see a bigger picture to this thing, and I now start to imagine that people who have low self-esteem, even as adults, it's not because of probably springing from their past and their parents not being able to shield them from certain forces, just like you just portrayed now.
Your parents cannot give you what they have. They cannot give you what they didn't have, first of all. Your parents, even if they are not educated, at least they need to be exposed enough to acknowledge that that problem is present and there's a way to go about it.
Wow.
Because we still have educated illiterates in Nigeria.
Absolutely.
And we have people who are exposed who did not know, because illiteracy here, the indices for illiteracy is measured to the extent of a lack of university degree.
True.
But that's not how to measure. That's not how to measure illiteracy.
Yeah.
You understand? So there are a lot of people that only have a school stats that are a lot more put together, a lot more exposed, a lot more educated than those that have first degree.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, we're wondering, what is this quality of education in Nigeria that we're all striving for, that we're all killing ourselves for? That's why it's as useless as anything you can ever imagine. Somebody finished from university and person cannot be engaged in a basic conversation, cannot defend himself, cannot put his ideology out there effectively, cannot communicate clearly. Many cannot even write effectively.
But they pass through 4 years of university.
But they pass through 4 years of university. So that those universities, they need to be bombed. Because as far as I'm concerned, we are developing mortuary attendants. Yes. And mechanics. If you've ever been to a typical Nigerian mechanic, at every given time, he has no idea what is wrong with your car. He's making it.
Just making it up as it goes.
And then the older they are, the more experience they have. So when they've made mistakes on cars over the years, but they've seen similar things over the years, they're able to tell, okay, is this, is that, is this, is that. But yet, the ones that are thieves will still find a way to cheat you. Even when they know what is wrong with your car. So it's the same thing with the medical people. They are making it up as they go. So in fact, you're only safer in the hands of a doctor who has spent at least 25 to 30 years. The older the doctors are, especially if they are still in the right mental health, the older they are, the better, especially for a country like this that is infrastructurally behind in terms of medicine and technology. So, that's how it works. So sorry to deviate a bit. The NYSC has lost its plot. The ideal reason why the NYSC was set up
It's for federal.
it has been lost. The essence of NYSC was for integration. Has it really been able to integrate this country?
Yeah.
No. So it has failed in its primary purpose. So what are we supposed to do? Is to give it a new direction or to dismantle it completely. Now I see, excuse my language, big booty girls with big asses, massive thighs, running up and down, saying they are doing NYSC. They are paying them money that they think nothing. First of all, the NYSC is an economic waste to the graduates who serve that purpose. And then the money that is paid to them is equally of an economic waste because it does not serve any real purpose.
Yeah.
That money could be put to others.
They put back into the educational system.
If we gather all that money and share it among the federal universities, it's something.
True.
We do not place premium on people's lives in this country.
Yeah.
That is why you will see a girl that just last week she was making nails. She's giving you injection because she's an auxiliary nurse. That is how unimportant human life is in Nigeria.
So sad.
So when we need to start from somewhere, you understand? Affordability of healthcare is the prerogative of the government. It's the prerogative of the government. But we first have to be sure that we are bringing out actual doctors, not killers.
Interesting. So going back to low self-esteem, and how we've seen play out in society, do you think that some of the behaviors that women exhibit now, for example, going to change their body parts and all of the additional things that they do you think that it comes from a place of lack of self-esteem?
Why do people bleach? What is the fundamental need to bleach the surface of your skin and bring out the one that is underneath?
Probably because I think people do not approve of.
It's because you think you're not enough.
That feeling of not being enough is...
And on a deeper level, it's self-hatred.
And then clearly self-love.
No, it's self-hatred. That's a misinterpretation of emotional projection. It's self-hatred. When you go to foreign countries, you see a lot of black men who have been able to escape the tight rope that have been put around the neck of the young black men in the country and have been able to make something of themselves. You expect them to pick a black sister and get married to. What do? They go and pick a foreigner. They go and pick a Chinese. They go and pick a Japanese. They go and pick a white girl, most especially white girl, or they pick a Latino. They are trying to find themselves within their partners.
Which is something that you can't find
in themselves. So it emanates from low
self-esteem. This low self-esteem thing is broad.
When you are growing up as a child in America, if you're a black child, you don't have too many errors to make before you are completely destroyed. You only need to make a little mistake one day, and you're either dead, or you're in prison, or they put something on you that you never even did because you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. There are no second chances for black children. That is why you see excellent black people like Obama. They'll tell you it's like he was born to be president. He doesn't even have a parking ticket to his name. You understand? Because these people were browbeaten and they were hounded into understanding that the system is rigged against their skin. And so they must rise above the normal to be able to escape that rope that is already in their necks.
So that is to say that, I don't know how to put it, but
Let me finish. Now, when you in America have a child that is 16 and wants to drive, even before he learns how to drive, what's the first thing you start teaching that black child? How to respond to police. Because the police will shoot him if he makes any funny move. Police have shot so many innocent black kids. So that kid will be the first, and then he'll be the last.
And nothing's gonna happen.
And nothing more. So you see, when an officer flags you, you stop, you put your 2 hands on the steering, you stay forward, you wind down when he asks you to wind down, you talk only when he asks you to talk, and if he asks you for your particulars, you take permission and to ask before you can lift your hand from the steering. So when you live in that kind of perpetuity of fear and subjugation of your person, the limitation of your race is the first thing you're introduced to from the time you're born. Which creates the momentum and the clear foundation for a clinical low self-esteem situation. And the most deadly of it is that one that is not well known, is not well pronounced.
Which is
that you think you are confident, but you're actually not. Your decisions are stemmed from fear. Your decisions are stemmed from what you feel you lack, or what you look forward to being, or what you think is more superior. Now, I want you to compare another black child, but who is going to be raised under completely different circumstances. The black children of somebody like Robert De Niro. His wife is black, so his children are black. He has 4 black boys. Do you think Robert De Niro will train his children the way an average black family will train their black children? No. These are black children with white mentality. So the first thing that makes away from them, for them, is when they call their name. Whatever, De Niro. Then eyebrows you. Fuck, you're black. Is your father Robert De Niro? Oh, yes. The way is good. So, low self-esteem, in the context of which we speak, when you make an intentional decision to change or adjust your physical features, it means that you are not happy with what you represented physically or physiologically. And that is a clear sign of low self-esteem.
So that is to say that as black people, the odds are really against us from birth.
When you look at situations in the States, in places with high racism, and it's very peculiar to the country. Now, you would say, if you are not well informed, you would say, oh, what the black person suffered in South Africa is equally what the black person suffered in America. Right. But it's not the same. And it's only when you try to make it look the same that the clash of cultures will extract you for punishment. Look at that silly girl, the South African artist. When she went to America, she said, I'm a person of color. America caught fire.
Yeah.
Because color is associated with slavery. And she did not take that into cognizance before making that statement in the States. So immediately she said that, she isolated herself from her primary fan base, which is the blacks.
Yeah. Because she didn't know better.
She didn't know better. And her people did not inform her.
This low self-esteem thing is deeper than I
It's very deep. It's not.
It's deeper than I imagined.
It's very, very deep.
Because from everything you've said now, it seems like the origin of low self-esteem doesn't even start from
Experiences.
It doesn't start from your
No,
experience.
it doesn't start from experiences.
It has claws and fans in your past, in your upbringing, in the way your parents too were trained.
Where they raised you, how they raised you, the schools you attended, your experiences, your interactions with your teachers, all these things matter.
The kind of people you interact
Kind of
with.
people you interacted with, how they rub off on you, how you rub off on them. All these things, they matter.
And if you're able to put all of these things in check, then you can boldly beat your chest and say, my self-esteem is healthy. My self-esteem is not hurt.
Never since. It's a thin line. So, you may not necessarily know what your psychological situation is until certain issues come on.
Does that mean that as individuals, we always need to assess our psychological state?
Constantly. Without that, we cannot perform at optimum.
So how do you examine your psychological state?
By talking to a shrink every now and then.
Really?
Yes.
How about in a country like Nigeria where seeing a shrink is like
That's what I'm
trying
telling
to
you.
reach God?
That's what I'm telling you, that a lot of times you cannot give what you do not have. And that's why it's a very low percentage, a very small statistic of people who are civilized, sophisticated, and educated. And these three variables have nothing to do with how much money or how much money they have or don't have. You understand what I'm saying? It's like a man knowing that he shouldn't stretch out his hand to shake a woman when he meets to her. It's wrong. Many men do not know this.
Just shake a woman.
It's the woman that stretches out her hand if she wants to shake it. And if you stretch out your hand, it's the woman's prerogative to take the hand or reject it. I'm giving you an instance. So, going to a shrink is very important. In big organizations, competitive organizations, they have shrinks in the HR department. And the job of those shrinks is to keep everybody working at an optimal level consistently without any dips.
Because when people go through some psychological issues, they're not at their best.
They're not at their best. And you notice it all the time and you push them out of it. The same thing with sports. They have sports psychologists. People who speak to them before they go into major tournaments. I told you about my friend, Stephen. He was talking to me at some point last year. I didn't recognize him. Why? Because America has beat him into submission.
Yeah.
You know? This was a guy whose father did very well for himself. He lived very well. He was doing very well. He even did his master's in Japan. He was a lawyer. Even the women look at you like you're not a human being. Because even before they ask you, are you a human being? They will ask you, do you have papers? It's crazy. And then when you don't have paper, exactly, and then when you don't have papers, they assume very quickly that you want to use them for their papers.
Yeah.
So that reduces you.
To So
And
then
then-
this is a situation now. I'm trying to pull out someone from a point of high self-esteem to a point of low self-esteem.
Yes.
This
So
person didn't have that.
he didn't have that
But
situation going on.
this experience now is trying to bring out.
It gradually ate at him. That's what erosion does.
Mm.
It you don't notice it until one day there's a huge calling.
Mm.
So by the time I started talking to Stephen was no longer the Stephen I used to know. Stephen was a different Stephen. Stephen had accepted that he may not go past a certain economic level.
Mm.
Stephen had accepted that his place that in the slave master situation, master is good to me, master give me food to eat, place to stay. So he was talking in that direction. And when I heard him talking in that direction, I called his attention. I said, Stevie, have you forgotten who you are? And it was like a wake-up call for him. Have you forgotten who you are?
That's reminding of who he really
To
is.
remind him of who he was. And nearly I reminded him, he started kicking the pieces of his life for me.
So that means that this low self-esteem can actually hit anybody at any point in their life.
It's like erosion, like I said. Anywhere that is eroded used to be a clear landmass. And then suddenly the air, the water,
Everything just.
the heat starts to eat at it gradually. If you ask anybody, how did this all happen? They don't know. It just one day they just saw the hole. Because erosion is a gradual process.
Yeah.
And that's how low self-esteem attacks a human being. It's like erosion, it's gradual. It erodes at your person. It chops at your person until there's a hole.
So how can one, should I say, protect themselves, or what can one do to surpass this low self-esteem situation?
Well, I'm not a psychologist. Let me make that very clear. But I would say, in my experience, I would say the Bible says that iron sharpeneth iron. So, in order to stay competitive, you have to be competitive at all times. That's what it is. You have to never, ever feel that you have arrived in any given situation. There's always more. You can always be better. You can always exceed expectations. You must always push yourself. So that takes a lot. I told you, I explained a career to you recently that I don't want to mention his name. He's a musician, Yoruba musician, very big musician. We had high hopes for him. You understand? And then suddenly, he disappeared. Now, unlike other Afrobeat artists, where the greater population of our Afrobeat artists, they cannot sing. This guy is an exceptional singer with a unique voice. Now, what happened to him? And I keep explaining to people, there are two kinds of hunger. There's a hunger of the stomach, and there's a hunger of ambition. Now, when you see a young man who saw people growing around him and who never gave himself a chance, and just say, God, the only problem he has in his life is he doesn't know how he will survive the next day. He doesn't know how he will pay his own rent. He doesn't know how he's going to feed. He doesn't know how he's going to even raise a family. But first, how does he survive? How does he put food in his stomach, even if it's once a day, every day of his life? When he suddenly found himself in abundance, because he never had a vision that was beyond the vision of sustaining his stomach, beyond the vision of surviving, he stops in his tracks. In his mind, he is locked up in that prison. It's like a loop. You keep going around and arriving at the same station where you started. So that artist is in his own prison, made by himself. And only somebody who is paying very close attention can unlock you.
Because everyone has something, inside of them.
So that was his situation in that matter. And what this can lead to, if he's trying to push himself and he does not quickly realize what the issue is that inferiority complex will actually kick in. He has tried to do something else. I think it was politics, he failed. So if you push, and he can't do it. If he's not careful, the window for low self-esteem will begin to show up. That's a very good indication for low self-esteem to creep in. Because he has all it takes and he can't understand why he can't move beyond this point. And then he's watching others around now, taking his place, running him over, and calling him legend. Before now, when you call somebody a legend, the person used to be a dead person. You understand? But now we have living legends. So I'm sure he doesn't want to be a living legend. He wants to be chopping money up till now. So that's just the point. So I'm just trying to explain to you how windows or pockets of opportunity for low self-esteem can creep in. So the only way to avoid it is to constantly push yourself. Constantly be competitive. Constantly keep moving the goal lines. Keep pushing yourself.
How do we match that up with associating with the right people?
Associating with the right people is wide. Like it's a vague concept. Because some people associate with the right people because of the circumstances of their birth. Some people associate with the right people because of the circumstances of their position. Some people are surrounded by the right people by chance.
Okay.
So it depends.
So, one last question. What parting words can you give to the youngest generation? That's the Gen Zs and possibly the millennials, because I kind of feel like a lot of millennials are drowning in depression and springing from a lot of issues. So what parting words do you have for the Gen Zs who, because I know like growing up as a Gen Z, the situation of the economy of Nigeria had already become bad. So a lot of Gen Zs, like, we literally grew up in poor homes, impoverished homes, which for some people may have affected their psychology and all of that. What parting words do you have for Gen Zs?
First of all, I just got to know about this Gen Z millennial thing very recently. Like you, I wasn't following that trend.
Because you're a baby boomer.
Very fun. But like I said, you can't give what you don't have. And the foundation of our lives is set on the blackboard by the handwriting of our parents.
Right.
But what I'll say is, waxing philosophical is, when the bird learns to fly without perching, the hunter should learn to shoot without missing. Every opportunity should be taken as your last, and you must always live in the moment. Be present at all times, because opportunity only meets those who are prepared. That's all I will say for them.
So to every Gen Z listening who battled poverty and a lot of hardship growing up and has totally told themselves, this life, I cannot amount to anything. Let the words of our guests today inspire you and uplift you from the low spirit that you have dragged yourself into, and always push for the best. Try and be competitive. Like, whatever you are now is not the end of you. You can always do better and can always achieve more and more and more. And that brings us to the end of our episode of the Interview Podcast. I hope you were impacted in some way. Do well to share your thoughts, your questions, so that in our next episode, we can be able to answer your questions and probably discuss on whatever questions that you get to ask us about, and probably turn it into our next topic. Thank you, Mr. X, for always giving us your very, very intellectual insight. So thank you. Until next time, we will see you again on the Interweave podcast. And until next time, thank you guys for listening. Bye-bye.